I meditate on love, on what the meaning of love is, through the experiences in my lifetime, I've had many opportunities, experiences that have allowed me to understand different levels of what love it means. In the ordinary world of human beings, love to the ordinary person only refers to romantic love, or the love for another person, the love for one's mother, or one's father, or one's brother or sister. It's a love that is, it's real love. It's real love. It's just a certain level of love. Everything has levels. Everything is existing in different levels. Levels of understanding. Like understanding what love is, or how love is expressed. I reflect upon this, and I look at the humans, or I look at the birds, or the animals around me, the other living forms that we call animals, that the humans have labeled animals. When I look at the behaviors of love, or altruism is another good way of expressing what I'm trying to express. I guess the mother is a good example of what I'm trying to reflect upon or express. Is that in a lot of ways, when a soul expresses itself as a mother, one which sustains, one which gives itself in order to allow another to exist, one which becomes an opportunity for souls to return and to work on themselves so that they can shed away all those aspects of themselves to which they believe are real, and through each experience we shed these away, removing all the impediments which keep our light, our true being, from shining brightly. So each experience, each lifetime, we return to work on removing these impediments which keep the light from shining brightly through. And this is a work of love. This is love in action. In the absence of love is the world of violence and war and indifference and apathy. Ecological destruction and practices or behaviors of disharmony and exclusion. And in our world, we have many examples all around us showing us the examples of this. If we look at our world, if we look at the world, we have plenty of examples of many different levels of love and even different levels of ignorance. From the really subtle to the most extreme and intense. We have the examples right before us. Every single human being has the examples presented before us. When we reach certain levels of understanding of love, we become more than what we thought we were. We learn to include more into ourselves, into our influence of love, into our concern for another. We become more aware of our impact, the impact of this form upon all the other forms around us. And we begin to work towards alleviating the suffering of all that is around us. Our heart becomes one that is concerned more with those around us than with ourself. Content in knowing that ourself, as long as we are more concerned with those around us than ourself, that we shall always be protected and kept safe and happy. Even though in the world we see examples of people who surrender themselves to the world, and yet they get completely destroyed almost. But there's many levels of ignorance. So every soul that reincarnates, that comes back, because we have awakened the heart. Now we realize it. We want to come here to help others, to give ourselves to the world, even though it's a mess. It's a mess, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and it's not getting any better. But it's okay. It's not the first time. There are billions and trillions and trillions and trillions of planets with all different types of life in every direction. In every direction. Up, down, sideways, every direction. There's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of planets with beings on them that are coming to the very same conclusions, that are realizing this love, this want to help the other, the one to sustain and to give love and give happiness and bliss to everything around us, to want to become a provider. You know, like a good example, and this is what helped me realize that I think the next step for the human being is to, or every single soul, is to become a star. Because the sun, say on this planet, as this human being, my experience with the sun is that when it's shining, I am absolutely happy. It makes me feel so happy. And when I go out into the sunshine, it makes me feel so happy. It gives me warmth. It makes the plants grow. I know how happy everything gets. Like the birds, how they respond when the sun comes out, when it gives them warmth. I know how they respond. They are absolutely full of bliss. And for this light in the sky that gives us this light, that gives us the warmth and the happiness and the bliss, and it makes us feel so good. And when it's not there, and it's dark, it's cold and miserable, and we're shivering. But as soon as that light comes out, we are absolutely happy. And it sustains us, and it gives us our life and everything. And without that light, we would not be. We couldn't exist. I think. Wouldn't it be great if I could do this? If I could do that. My God, imagine how much love is pouring off that sun. Look how much contentment and love that comes to every single soul. You see the snakes, they go out and lay in the sun. It could be blazing hot. They don't care. They go out there and lay and they just go to sleep, and they're in bliss. They're in absolute bliss. The lizards, like the reptiles, are a perfect example of how much it gives them bliss, how much it warms them up and it gives them their love. They feel bliss. You can see it. The birds, everybody, when they respond to the sun. The sun is giving so much happiness. So much happiness. The allowing all these forms to exist. All these forms to exist. All these forms to find happiness and bliss. I believe that this is the next step for us. Every single one of us that realizes love, we eventually become one that gives. That is always giving and never needing, ever. Not needing, but giving. Giving. Always giving. And that's what all the stars do. They give. They give the opportunity for life. And so what do we have out here? It's not that the stars were there before the human beings, before the souls manifested. In a lot of ways, the stars exist because the souls that have individualized from the one true light of love, the only cause of everything, is love. Love. Wanting to give oneself to the world completely. And surrendering the heart to the world, to everything. I realized that in order to I had to come back to fall in love with the world, with all of its mistakes, and how insane it is, and its madness, and it's all the suffering and the horror and everything. And I have to fall in love with this, because this is me. From the unconscious to the most brilliant, beautiful light. And in between that is all the fucking pain and the madness and everything. But I have to fall in love with that in order to stay in the bliss. Because when I found my bliss, in the many times that I have found my way home in this lifetime, I could never stay because I always felt that I had to come back and help everybody get home. So I have to fall in love with it and accept it just as it is. And that's very hard. But that's having to let go of it all and saying, well, it's okay. It's okay. Originally, there's only bliss. And we always return to that. We always return to that. And I think in a lot of ways we return so that we realize that everything outside of ourselves, everything outside this expression, is only a reflection of that which is within our infinite being. It's only a reflection of the potentiality. It's only a reflection of what could be. It's not real. It's not. All there really is stillness and bliss. There aren't these forms. These forms don't exist. The only reason these forms and the stars and everything exists is because the souls that have manifested have identified with their experience as being real and not realizing I think in some ways, I guess a good way to explain this is that for me, I started looking at the energy that is behind the heart and the beating of the heart, and the fact that the energy is consistent. I mean, you could be completely knocked out and in a coma or something, and your heart will continuously beat, no matter what. And that's amazing. What is this energy that is behind that? And so when I reflected upon this, in conjunction with meditation, I found this stillness, this immeasurable stillness and bliss. Contentment, I guess, is a good word. Not so much bliss. Contentment, a feeling of completion. Of not having to do anything. Because there's no reason for it. A type of conclusion. A contentment. And allowing. Eventually the ego, it has to just allow things to be. Just allow everything to be. And not want to have any control over it at all. And that's when, I think that's when we truly can appreciate what love is. When we eventually just allow everything to be. Just allow it to be. Not so much in the sense that we become apathetic to the suffering of others. No, we still do everything we can to alleviate the suffering of others in every capacity that is available to us. So we're constantly focused on helping others. Not just sitting in the meditation and ignoring the world, because this is me. This is me out there. Well, I'm going to help myself. Help myself does not mean help this body. It means help everything outside of this body. So you help yourself. Of course you help your body. You need to exist in order to help others. But it doesn't take a lot to exist. So you realize as you help the world, as you feed the birds, as you give when you can, when the opportunity is presented to you to offer some assistance, whatever it be, you give. You give everything you can. And know that your well from which you pull this energy to give will never, ever be empty. For it is forever overflowing with love that you can share with the world. Love in the form of helping other forms by actually working and helping them. Offering assistance when you can to other forms. Humans and all the other forms. That's what love is. One which is more concerned with out there than here, than in here. That is when we graduate. That's when we graduate. That's when we become love. That's when we find our way home.